was having a steamed fish for my dinner because my wife was gone to the country and some church business. So about 8:30 or minutes to 9, I got a call from Mr. George Quayle, who was then the Assistant Commissioner in charge of Area 4. And he said to me, "Where are you?" I said, "So I'm in town." He said, "You heard what happened?" I said, "What, so?" He said, "You heard that 9 persons were shot and injured in Nannyville, including a baby. I abandoned my fish and I head to Nannyville."
So when you joined the police force, then where you come from? Country?
I'm from country. I'm from a very rural part of Jamaica, St. Catherine. I'm a St. Catherine person. I grew up in the rural concept of bringing up children.
Rural values.
Rural values in terms of that community, involvement where the entire community raised a child. I'm from the whole school where if you did something and your parents hear, even if you're at school and you did something wrong, you're going to get double punishment. The value of honesty was one of the things that was imparted. My parents were not wealthy, but what I got from them in terms of standard and principle and the whole, what do I call it now? How to conduct myself as an adult. Money could not buy that. Respect for other people, respect for self, respect for the elderly. To this very day, I would refer to somebody maybe younger than me as sir and ma'am, and the value system that have been instilled in us as children, no money could replace that. And so when I hear people often talk about poverty and lead to crime, I'm not one of those, because we never came from any wealthy environment. I know what it was to go to school not wearing a shoes. When rain fall, you had to stuff the book inside of your shirt and prevent it from wetting. So I know that, but the value system, what is not yours is just not yours. You leave it alone. You couldn't go home with anybody with anything. If we go home with anything, that is mama going to ask, how did you come by this? And you better explain. And don't let Papa, I call my father Papa, don't let him come home, and because when he talks, there's a no man back. When he talks, no dog back. That's the sort of environment we grew up in. And that has also helped us to maintain a very strong family bonding. When you see my sibling and I, you really wonder. At one stage, it was 11 of us. 3 of my brothers died. So it's just 7 of us. No, 7? I have to check.
7.
I think it's 7. I think it's 7. Yeah. 7. Yes.
How many boys? How many?
No, it was 3 girls and 8 boys. Yeah.
Wow. Would you agree that in your days growing up as a young child and from rural Jamaica, that in spite of the adults with whom you grew up not having the education of today's Jamaicans, would you agree that they were more principled in how they conducted themselves and in how they raised their children?
Definitely. Definitely. People value system was so different. The sort of vulgarity that we see now never existed then. The sort of neighborliness that existed there is totally different. You live in a neighborhood and nobody knows each other. My family, for example, when my family was like a place where people would converge. When my mother cooked, it almost served for the entire community. My father was a butcher, so we had access to a lot of, for instance, meat, and so and the community would just come and you go to your neighbor's house and that sort of thing. Christmas, when that time, the entire community just share what you have. You move from one house to the other, and it was just a total different environment. And I can understand now, because with the emergence, the social media that has overtaken the world, where the globalization and the shrinking of borders and the whole cultural revolution that has taken place because of the globalization. So I can understand, but we had better standard, and in those days we were exposed to civics at school.
Yes.
So we understand the whole concept of respect for yourself, respect for others, respect for institutions, respect for symbols that don't exist again. So it's a total different, and I think when you look at the force over the period from 1984 when I joined, you see the changes, the transition from one stage to the other. I guess, when you look at JCF, maybe I need to just step back a little. So when I joined JCF, I came from Prospect College, which is a private institution in St. Mary. I think one of the best institutions, where it caters for just strictly boys, where they go into the high school and do the recruitment.
Oh. Okay.
And then they take you in. Your education is free.
Okay.
There's no burden on your family.
That's the JCF. The
No, I'm
JCF
talking
at the time.
No, that
Oh,
was
Prospect
College.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No burden on your family. I mean, those of us who went to Prospect College, every Friday we get a stipend to buy toiletry. And this is the thing, if you want to go into Otrios, it's a school where you are exposed to a lot of things that the traditional schools are not exposed to. For instance, we were allowed to do like horseback riding on weekend. We had 2 beaches that we had exposed to. We could go. We had a 1,000 acre property. We can do whatever we want to do when we're not at school. Every student had to learn some musical instrument. And you were able to do in my days we did GC and A-level and O-level. And the school paid for everything.
Okay.
So having left that institution, which I was also a cadet, I decided to join JCF.
Oh, so it's not like you always wanted to be a policeman.
There are 2 professions that I had considered. One, I wanted to be an accountant,
Okay.
a chartered accountant. That's what I did as a young person. And I told myself I don't want to be just an ordinary. I want to be an accountant with much influence and that sort of thing.
Okay.
But then I saw an experience where, and I use it, there was some human rights abuse by a particular police officer. A young man was properly flogged. And as a child, I thought that was sense of some level of injustice. And I think that drove me into wanting, and especially, and with my background as a cadet, I decided that I'm going to join the force. And if there's one thing that I will try and eliminate, is that abuse of the citizens.
Okay, so you saw that incident, that flogging, as abuse?
Yeah, I think
it was not
abuse.
necessary?
It was not necessary.
Okay.
And the way it was done, the young man was really just helpless.
Yeah.
It's like I'm seeing it right now.
Yeah.
It was really, it happens in St. Catherine, in a little district they call Treadways. And so I left school and I just joined the JCF. When I joined, my first assignment was beat and foot patrol.
Okay.
A lot of people are not familiar with that. What we used to do, like plaza patrol, we used to walk King Street, and it is important to note that when we had beat and foot patrol, public order was not what it is.
Yes.
We had better control of the street.
And better behave people.
And better behave people,
Yes.
because we were there to prevent some of the things from happening.
Mm-hmm.
So the Eagles downtown had to fall in line.
Mm-hmm.
The bus drivers, I remember I used to work in the park, North Parade, South Parade.
Mm-hmm.
They had to fall in line.
Mm-hmm.
We used to work on the plazas, in Twin Gate plazas, and as we used to patrol, for example, Red Hills Road,
Mm-hmm.
from Red Hills Mall going up to that community, what they call it again, which is a problem here now.
100 Lane.
100 Lane,
Yeah, Park Lane.
Park Lane.
Yes.
And we go right to Welcome Supermarket, I think it was way down Meadowbrook
Yes.
era. So you used to have that presence there. So in those days, Red Hills Road used to have a 24-hour operation, never closes. So that was what I started. I spent about 9 months. And what obtained there is that you just go there for maybe 9 months or a year, and that you get another batch from training school.
Okay.
And then you had some significant experienced supervisors who were there to guide you through that process. So that's where I went, and then I did 2 terms at Leeton Foot, and the reasons for doing 2 terms is because they considered me as a model police.
Okay.
And as a model police, they wanted you to sort of mentor some of the younger police
Oh, okay.
that came.
Okay.
And then after my stint, I went to Mobile Reserve.
Okay.
A lot of people may not be aware that I worked at Mobile Reserve. That's operational policing.
Mm-hmm.
Spent over 3 years there. I think as a police officer, Mobile Reserve was one of the best. Those 3 years that I spent at Mobile Reserve played a critical role in who I am today. It is my view, now we have specialized officers, it is my view that the police officers that leave the training facility should get an experience doing those type of operational policing. It is critical for your own survival within the JCF. So I did a lot of operational type courses as well, doing, tactical type training. That in a very hostile environment like Jamaica, we have criminal that will shoot at you and all of that. That
Which
type
country?
of training. I'm talking about Jamaica.
Oh, yeah, but which country? Which country?
I'm saying.
Oh, you did it
hostile
within. Okay.
within our country.
Okay.
Here,
Okay. Okay.
where
Okay.
that helps you to be
Yes.
more agile
Yes.
as a policeman and be more alert as a policeman. So having left Mobile Reserve, I went to Fraud Squad.
Okay.
And Fraud Squad actually defined my career in the JCF. Spent 19 years at the Fraud Squad.
How has the force evolved since you have joined over the years? What are some of the things that you have seen that would have said to you that this force is becoming better?
When I became a police officer in 1984, the force was a limping force in terms of resources. I think when you look at the modernization that has taken place over the years, I have worked with, let me name the commissioner. First commissioner was Joe Williams. Then we had Herman Ricketts. Then we had Roy Thompson. Then we had, I think it was Mr. Macmillan, Trevor Macmillan, Colonel Trevor Macmillan. Then we had Francis Forbes, or I'm not sure I'm doing in the order, but
Yes.
Francis Forbes. Then after Francis Forbes, Lucius Thomas.
Oh, Thomas, okay.
Then we had Ardle Lewin. Then after Ardle Lewin, we had Ellington, is a lot of commissioner. Ellington. Then after Mr. Ellington, Carl Williams.
Oh, okay.
Then after Carl Williams, it was George Coelho. And that's after George Coelho, it was Major General Anderson. And then we have Dr. Blake. So when you look at the individual, they would have come with their own different perspective, and so I've seen a significant transition and transformation. When Francis Farr was here, I remember we had that review that was done, and we saw a significant transformation there. Then Macmillan came with his own
It was another type of transmission.
I'm not certain if it's transformation. I don't know. I'm not certain if it had worked very well for the JCF. And then Owen Ellington did a significant amount of work in terms of transforming the force. A number of the policies and that we are still currently using came to be during those period from Francis Farr, Owen Ellington. Some of the operational tactics that we are using also was as a result of the era of Commissioner Ellington, and then Major General Anderson came. He did his thing in terms of technology, but I think I need to point out, and I am going to be very blunt, is that the transformation of the JCF never started with Major General Anderson. It has been a process, and you can assign some element of transformation to most of the persons who were commissioner.
Okay.
Francis Farr did a great deal of work regarding that. Ms. Grant, former DCP, also played a critical role in terms of ensuring that some of the policies were developed and implemented. And then we had Mr. Ellington. When he came, he sort of revolutionized the force to a certain extent in his approach. Very brilliant person. And then Major General came, and the technological transformation, which continued, because a number of the technology that we are using, it started, but I think in terms of more institutionalize it and creating greater access actually happened during this tenure. So, and then we look at our operational capability. I came through an era when there was significant police abuse. Human rights issue was very high. I remember when Jamaica for Justice was formed, and the amount of pressure that we came under. We were basically scrutinized. Everything that we did.
And I remember this one, America's Watch.
And FAST and all of them that came up as human rights group. I remember after the operation in Tivoli, what transpired then in terms of, even some of our people were sanctioned, etc. But I think we have evolved from that. I don't think we have that human rights problem again. I think we have become a mature force. I think we are a more professional force, a professional organization. There's still work to be done, but I think we have transitioned beyond the past experience where I remember those days, almost every week you will see people with placards, "We want justice." We want justice. I don't think we are in that era any longer. And there's a lot of work that is being done, and that has been done by the JCF and based on our policies and our structure. And the type of what I call socialization that our men have been exposed to, the training and the way they have been socialized. And we are more professional in our approach as an organization. Currently, we are now, as I indicated, on the road to ISO 9001. A number of our services have been so certified. Matilda's Corner is certified, Halfway Tree is certified, Duane Park is certified, our police garage, which is transport services, have been certified, our investigative process have been certified. CIB headquarters have been certified. And so there are a number, and we are now in the process of certifying a number of other elements within the JCF. So we are getting there really in terms of trying to professionalize the JCF.
Okay, when you say certified, it means that they are to meet particular standards.
An ISO standard.
An ISO standard.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So the vexed issue of the crime portfolio. When you got the crime portfolio, did you say, Lord Jesus, why me?
No, I put it this way. I mean, I've worked at different. So when I left fraud squad, I went to the organized crime
OCD
division.
Yeah.
It was OCD then.
Yes.
And if you recall, that OCD was under fire. We had a situation prior to my going there where some people went missing in Duane Park. Those bodies were never found. And people were linking it to police officers from OCD who work with the stolen motor vehicle.
Oh, I remember.
And they had gotten Scotland Yard to come and do the investigation.
Yes, I remember.
So OCD had lost its standing, its reputation. In fact, when I was called to take over OCD, I never wanted to go because I said, I mean, how can I go to a place like that that has lost its reputation? So my briefing was, we are sending you to OCD. And I remember I said it was Mr. Mark Shield who was the Deputy Commissioner in charge of crime, but I was briefed by DCP Heath. So I said to him, I do not believe in the broad brushing of people. I'm going to go there, do my own assessment, and then I will make a determination. So when I went there, one of the first things I did was to interview. I interviewed over 90% of the staff individually. Had a one-on-one sit down with them. And then I found out that there were about 4 persons who I think were not fit to be at the location. So I requested that they be transferred. In addition to that, working with, at the time we had our British law officers, Les Green and others.
Yes.
So I went on a training program by the staff college. I was doing my junior command course. And I did an action plan to rebrand OCD. And after I graduated from that training, I basically executed that plan. And one of the areas that I focused on was to go through a process of integrity testing. So every member of OCD, including myself, had to be polygraphed.
Oh, okay.
So we all were polygraphed, and the polygraph caused some additional people to leave.
Oh, okay.
And then once we did that and did all the requisite background check, we went on a path when I said to the then Commissioner Ellington that one of the plans I had for OCD was for it to be the FBI of the JCF. And we did pursue that pathway. And OCD became then one of the most envied division in the JCF. When I was there, I mean, if all the police of the JCF could work at OCD,
See, that's where
they
they
would,
wanted to
because
work.
everybody sent in an application.
Okay.
They want to work at OCD because we were a professional. The United States and our foreign partners, they started to work with us. We got some support for the physical reconfiguration of the building, and we established, for instance, the cybercrime unit was established, the communication unit was established, the human trafficking, which was unit which was dead, it was revitalized. We started to do a lot of work, and then I moved from OCD to my first geographic division. I've never worked in geographic policing before. So I transitioned from OCD in 2012, the end of 2012, December, to take over St. Andrews Central Police Station. That was a new experience for me because I've never worked in uniform before, other than the initial stage at Beaton Foot, which was non-geographic as well, and mobile was non-geographic. So I took over St. Andrews Central. When I took over St. Andrews Central, I actually started officially whilst I went in December, but December was in the holiday
Yes,
period,
right.
so
Started
January,
in the New Year.
New Year, and on the 14th of February, 2013, I got what you call fire baptism. I was at, I won't forget, the Chisholm Avenue, not Chisholm Avenue, right at off Halfway Tree Road, Chelsea Avenue. There's
Chelsea
a little
Avenue.
restaurant they call So restaurant. I was having I love fish, so I was having a steamed fish for my dinner because my wife was gone to the country
Okay.
and some church business. So about 8:30 or minutes to 9, I got a call from Mr. George Quayle, who was then the Assistant Commissioner in charge of Area 4. And he said to me, "Where are you?" I said, "Sir, I'm in town." He said, "You heard what happened?" I said, "What, sir?" He said, "You heard that 9 persons were shot and injured in Nannyville, including a baby." I abandoned my fish and I head to Nannyville. And I reached Nannyville about 9 o'clock in the night. And I got my team and I was there until about 3:30 in the morning. Saw the pain of the family members weeping. And I remember I said to them, "This will never happen again. As long as I'm here, it will never happen." And coming out of that experience, we launched a curfew in Nannyville with JDF police officers. And I'm going to just make it short. We start what I call proximity policing there. After a while, we believe that we got control of the problem, so I pulled the soldiers went back.
Okay.
And then I had what we call OST, Operational Support Police Officers, in their blue denim, high-powered weapon, and they worked that community for a while. Then I engaged a number of social agencies, including the church, the member of parliament, the council, and we create some structure in Nannyville. We never had a recurrence of that incident. So I spent 3.5 years in St. Andrew Central. And if I may, I don't want to take any praise, but what was accomplished in St. Andrew Central within that 3.5 years has never happened again. When I took over in 2012, the murder figure for 2012 was 79 murder.
St. Andrew Central is half of it.
Stone, what
Yeah.
have you.
Yeah.
And when I left, I told the commissioner in 2024, when I presented my 2013 plan, that if I got some resources, and I was very specific,
Yeah.
murder could be reduced by 50% in 1 year. As a young commander, I was told by other senior commander, "Shut your mouth, you don't know what you're talking. You don't understand this thing." I never got the resources. But 2014, murder went from 78 to 37 in 1 year.
Okay.
48%.
79 to 37.
To 37.
Okay.
To 37. In 1 year, we got...
That's 2014.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got 48% reduction in murder.
Okay.
We got 52% reduction in robberies. At one point, they were saying that the robbers leave from uptown to downtown. In terms of breaking and those acquisitions, one went down by 70 and 78% in 1 year.
Yeah.
The Minister of National Security was then Mr. Peter Bunting.
Yeah.
I remember he wrote me and said, "What are you doing to get the result in St. Andrews Central?" The Commissioner of Police actually called me and said, "Fitz, I'm looking at your data. What are you doing to get this data?"
Yeah.
But one of the key elements in policing, if you don't value your people, the people that serve with you, the rank and file members, those who are on the front line, if you don't give them that sense of belonging, let them feel that they are important, their contribution to the overall mix is important. You have to understand that it's not you do the work.
Yes.
You are just like the captain
Of the ship.
of the ship.
Yeah.
And so you have to respect one of the things that I used to do, like even the ancillary staff, until you can recognize that they have a role. If you don't have a clean office, you can't work.
Yes.
And once you take that sort of pastoring in terms of your leadership, and people understand that you are genuine, because genuineness is very important.
Yes.
It's not about one's qualification. Policing is not based on qualification. While it's important,
Yes.
policing is that I don't matter how qualified you are, that personal skill and that human touch is so important in the mix.
Yes.
And so when I send my guys out, they are willing to go the extra mile. And you lead from the front. Mm-hmm. You see, I'm very passionate about my policing, you know. If you don't have the passion, because maybe my faith is too strong. Maybe my faith is too strong. And the Bible says faith without work is dead. Mm-hmm. But not only faith, but you work towards it. And I must say, I have 3 months left to go within the JCF. I don't think the problem that we face in Jamaica, the problem of crime and violence, is beyond us to solve. I believe the people in Jamaica want to see a better country, a more peaceful country.